VisionReads presents Frankenstein, written by Mary Shelley. Abridged and adapted by VisionReads. It's not a remake, it's a resurrection.
Part 1. Letters and Origins, Robert Walton. Letters written aboard a ship to his sister, Margaret Saville. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings. I arrived here yesterday, and my first task is to assure you of my welfare and increasing confidence in the success of my undertaking. I am already far north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, I feel a cold northern breeze play upon my cheeks, which braces my nerves and fills me with delight. I shall satiate my ardent curiosity with the sight of a part of the world never before visited, and may tread a land never before imprinted by the foot of man. My life might have been passed in ease and luxury, but I preferred glory to every enticement that wealth placed in my path. These are my enticements, and they are sufficient to conquer all fear of danger or death. 2 days after this occurrence, we were nearly surrounded by ice. We lay locked in for many days, and on the 19th we beheld a strange sight. We saw a low carriage, fixed on a sledge and drawn by dogs, pass on towards the north at some distance. A being which had the shape of a man, but apparently of gigantic stature, sat in the sledge and guided the dogs. We watched the rapid progress of the traveller with curiosity and wonder. The following morning, we picked up the shattered remains of a sledge, and not long after discovered the wreck of the other. Upon it, we perceived a man, of a different stature from him whom we had seen before, who seemed to be drifting on a piece of ice. We rescued him with difficulty. He was emaciated by fatigue and suffering and seemed hardly alive. He was not, as the other travellers seemed to be, a savage inhabitant of some undiscovered island, but a European. When I asked him why he had come so far upon the ice in a sledge, he replied, "To seek one who fled from me." He soon showed signs of improvement. His limbs were nearly frozen, and his body dreadfully emaciated by fatigue and suffering. But he is now much recovered, and is evidently a man of extensive knowledge and refined manners. He appears uncommonly intelligent, although in conversation he has a reserved and melancholy spirit. There is a noble expression in his face, and his eyes have an expression of wildness and even madness. As the stranger became more comfortable, he spoke more freely. One day he exclaimed, "You seek knowledge and wisdom as I once did, and I ardently hope that the gratification of your wishes may not be a serpent to sting you, as mine has been. I had determined not to unfold the events that led me to this miserable situation, but you have won me. I will commence my tale."
I am by birth a Genevese, and my family is one of the most distinguished of that republic. My ancestors had been for many years councillors and syndics, and my father had filled several public situations with honour and reputation. He was respected by all and beloved by those who knew him. My mother was the daughter of his friend. Her name was Caroline. She was left almost alone in the world when her father died, and my father came to her aid. 2 years after this event, Caroline became his wife. They passed their lives in the interchange of those sympathies necessary for happiness. In the mountains of Italy, my parents discovered a peasant and his wife with their 5 children. Among them was a girl fairer than a cherub. With his consent, my mother obtained the child. On the evening before she came, my mother said playfully, "I have a pretty present for my Victor. Tomorrow he shall have it." The next day she presented Elizabeth as my promised gift, mine to protect, love and cherish. No human being could have passed a happier childhood than myself. My parents were possessed by the very spirit of kindness and indulgence. With this deep love I was so imbued that it followed me in my studies, my pursuits and my dreams. We were brought up together. There was not quite a year difference in our ages. I need not say that we were strangers to any species of disunion or dispute. When I was 15, we witnessed the most violent and terrible thunderstorm. A stream of fire issued from an oak about 20 yards from our house. Nothing remained but a blasted stump. It was not splintered by the shock, but entirely reduced to thin ribbons of wood. From that day, natural philosophy, and particularly chemistry, became my primary study. My father observed with delight the improvement of my health, and, while I enjoyed this, he said, "It is time that you should be made acquainted with other customs than those of your native country." When I was 17, my parents resolved that I should become a student at the University of Ingolstadt. But before the day could arrive, the first misfortune of my life occurred. My mother fell ill, and the fever proved fatal. On her deathbed, the fortitude and benignity of this best of women did not desert her. She joined the hands of Elizabeth and myself. "My children," she said, "my firmest hopes of future happiness were placed on the prospect of your union. This expectation will now be the consolation of your father." The void that had been left by my mother's death appeared to me a gulf, to which I looked forward with despair and horror. Elizabeth was of a calmer and more concentrated disposition, but with all my ardour, I was capable of a more intense application. She busied herself with following the aerial creations of the poets, and in the majestic and wondrous scenes which surrounded our Swiss home, the sublime shapes of the mountains, the changes of the seasons, tempest and calm, the silence of winter, and the life and turbulence of our alpine summers, she found ample scope for admiration and delight, while my companion contemplated with a serious and satisfied spirit the magnificent appearances of things. I delighted in investigating their causes. The world was to me a secret which I desired to divine. Curiosity, earnest research to learn the hidden laws of nature, gladness akin to rapture as they were unfolded to me, are among the earliest sensations I can remember. In the university, I must form my own friends and be my own protector. My departure was therefore fixed at an early date, but my father could not accompany me, and I remained a few days longer with my friends at Geneva. Soon after this, I left for Ingolstadt. I threw myself into the chaise that was to convey me away. Tears filled my eyes. I waved a silent farewell to my father, my cousin, and little brother. I threw myself into the carriage and set off. My journey was long and fatiguing. At length I arrived. The beauty of the town, the majestic river, and the bright Gothic buildings gave me a sense of wonder. Yet my heart longed for Geneva. I presented myself to one of the professors, Monsieur Kremper. He asked me questions about my studies. When I mentioned Agrippa and Paracelsus, he laughed and told me to throw those books aside. "You have burdened your memory with exploded systems and useless names," he said. "These fancies of the mystics are long gone. Learn from the modern masters." Although his harshness stung me, his words struck truth. I decided to begin anew. I resolved to apply myself to the study of natural philosophy in a more scientific spirit. The following day I met Monsieur Walton, a professor whose voice was gentle and manners conciliating. When I described my early studies, he said kindly, "Every man would have been proud of the authors you studied, had they not been the instruments of foolish dreams, but they sought immortality and power. It is even possible that the secrets they attempted to discover are not beyond the reach of man. If they had the genius, we may hope the modern masters have the tools." These words excited me. From this day, natural philosophy became my soul's only occupation. I read the works of the most distinguished natural philosophers. I entered with the greatest diligence into the search for the principle of life. Natural philosophy became my sole occupation. For nearly 2 years, I lost all other passions or pursuits, devoted entirely to the sole purpose of infusing life into inanimate matter. After having formed this determination, I began the creation of a human being.